All right, so this is going to be a review of The Equalizer 3. It's directed by Antoine Fuqua, starring Denzel Washington once again. I really like that first movie. I might be alone in that, but I think it sold the concept of this, secret, badass. Well, this guy that seemed like just an average dude in the neighborhood or at work, he turns out to be this secret badass that can do all these things because he has this secret past that gave him these skills, and him using those to help out people that he knows in secret. I think it really works for that first movie. Second movie, not so much. The second movie is it's still okay, but not nearly as good as the first one, at least in my opinion. I thought the villains were kind of lame. I thought the overall plot was kind of bland, and he had that like mentor relationship with that kid from the neighborhood, the black kid, where he's trying to keep him off the streets, and it is real cheesy. I remember laughing at it in the theater. It was a lot. It was legitimately funny to me.
I lied to your little punk ass. Now I'm gonna kill you. What do you see when you look at me? Tell me. You better give me a right answer to what you see when you look at me. Killer, what you see, yummy? Man ain't spelled G-U-N, son.
But anyway, we got this third movie. This is not good. This is a mediocre movie. I mean, if you don't have an idea for a legitimate story for a sequel, maybe not do one. I know that sounds crazy. I've said it before, but whatever. It's gonna fall on deaf ears yet again. But yeah, so in this, it starts off with him, Robert McCall, being in this vineyard. I think he was in Sicily, and the head guy's coming in or whatever. He sees that he's already killed all his people, and so he ends up taking out the head guy and the rest of the guys, but he actually ends up getting shot. So Robert is trying to drive away, but he can't, and he ends up getting found by somebody and brought to this other place. I can't remember where he was at, but he ends up getting nursed to health, back to health by this doctor. But he's got to use a cane and stuff. He's not fully 100% yet. So as he's there and can't leave because he has to wait to heal, he meets the people around. There's kind of a romance there too, but the people in that place, of course, are getting fucked with. There's this mafia group headed up by these brothers, and they're setting people's stuff on fire and stuff like that. They're real violent. Like they're terrible to the people in this area. So of course he feels like he needs to get involved and take them down. So first off, with the positives, I think it's shot well. I think it's got some pretty good cinematography. It makes this location look pretty good. I will say the lighting is a little too bland for me. Right? It's kind of dull. All right, so it kind of makes it look bland. But like other than that, I think it looks good. Good score too. I think that works for the most part. And the main positive, which is the main positive of all these movies, it's Denzel Washington, right? I'm a big fan of his for a reason. I mean, the guy's great, and he's great in this. I like this character and his duality, especially in this movie, where he's this badass. I mean, he goes from being like a superhero almost on the level of Punisher to being like a horror movie villain. Like he's like snatching people up out of nowhere. He's making cars hit people out of nowhere. There's a point where he starts stabbing somebody, and you could swear he was Ghostface from Scream. Like, I mean, the dude is crazy. I mean, he takes out so many people with ease, and he has this whole thing where he's like real calm, right? Like people will be around him, some goons or whoever, the mafia boss or whatever. They'll have guns on him, and he'll just be super calm. Like, hey, whatever you got going on, do it somewhere else. Like, just completely calm because he's a badass. He knows he can take care of things. When he's not doing that, when he's just walking around and things like that, you can tell that there's pain in him, right? Like even if you didn't know his backstory, you would know that there's something up with this guy. There's something off internally, and there's a lot of internal struggle in this with him kind of looking at himself in the mirror and seeing what he's become, right? Because I mean, he is vicious. This movie is violent. Not just him, but there's a character that gets his hand cut off, something like that. Robert or Denzel puts a gun right in somebody's head and fucking shoots him in the head. There was this point where this guy was crawling away from him. He's walking all slow, grabs a shotgun, shoots the guy right in the ass. Other than that, though, not much going on here. We'll start off with Dakota Fanning. So she plays Emma, this CIA agent that he's helping out. He's giving her information and things like that. And I think she's miscast. I really do. When I'm watching her, she feels unnatural, right? She doesn't feel like this is actually her, like this is actually her character or whatever. it feels like she's playing this character, and I just see Dakota Fanning. So definitely miscast, but to be honest with you, her material's not very good. Other than the scenes where she's talking to Denzel because he elevates them, her dialogue's not very good anyway. But the thing is, she feels unnecessary. They don't do enough with her to the point where she might as well not even be in the movie by the end of it. She relays whatever Robert tells her to another guy, and that's it. It was like, okay, well, you can cut out the middle woman and just have him be talking to the other guy. I mean, she really doesn't do all that much, but just relay information or act off of what he's telling her. So she feels kind of pointless in that way. The actual place that Robert's at, he's meeting the people, he has romance and all that. I don't think that you got enough investment in those people, right? There's certain ones that he talks to, like the doctor, I think has probably the most development with him, but there's nobody that he really, I feel like he's all that connected to that he can really feel bad for and take care of. Like in the first movie, he had that fat guy that he was trying to help help lose weight that he worked with. There was also Chloe Grace Moretz's character. He was trying to help her out of a bad situation, right? So you got to invest in those characters and him helping them. And there's even some of that in the second one. But you don't have that here. You don't really get to know them enough. But in order for that to really be a thing, right? They're just, that's a city of people, and he's protecting the people because that's really what the villains are doing. They're just fucking with them, at least early on. And I guess we can talk about the villains. So the villains, they start off really, like I said, just kind of fucking with the people, right? Like, they have this whole mafia thing going on. I guess they were asking for like money from some of them and stuff like that, I guess. The story, especially with them and what they're doing, is so convoluted and crazy. It's like there's some drugs that get involved with like the stuff and the people that Robert took out in the beginning that somehow is connected. They're buying drugs from their enemy to sell on the street. They're having these like hoax terrorist attacks for some reason. It is a mess, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I was like, simplify this, like, right? This isn't a very long movie. Just have it to where they're fucking with the people, I guess, right? I mean, but you have to get the whole thing with the CIA involved and things like that. So I guess it has to be a larger plot going on, but you don't do enough with it. There's not enough development. And so it just ends up being kind of confusing. I was like, what are they actually trying to do? There actually really isn't a climax in this movie, right? Like at all. Like I was like, okay, earlier on when he gets hurt, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to have to do this even though he's not at 100%. And that's where the stakes are going to come from. But he gets healed by the time he's really doing anything with the main villains in this. So it kind of feels like that was not much of anything or didn't really do much. But whatever. A lot of it's internal struggle. But when it gets to the point where he's taking out the villains for the final time and it's the end of the movie and all that, right? Which it doesn't really feel like it. You would think that there would be at least some stakes or the illusion of stakes or something, but he's just taking people out one by one like it's nothing. Anyway, that's it. It's fun to watch Denzel, take all these people out and like in these monstrous ways. The movie's very violent and bloody, and that's satisfying. But and the action's well done. But when it comes to the actual story, it's weak and hollow, right? And the villains are just not very great, and it's really convoluted what they're actually trying to do with this terrorist attacks and these drugs and all this other shit. Other people might have gotten it. I didn't get it, right? It was just too messy for me. I think they should have definitely simplified it. This isn't that long of a movie. Like, let's simplify it so we can better understand, what Robert really needs to take out, what he needs to stop. But whatever, it's just, it's a messy movie, and at the end of the day, it feels like it's just like, hey, we got Denzel back. Let's just do another one, right? Even if we don't really know what we're truly doing. So, it started off, really good. Like I liked the earlier parts of it, like the beginning part where he's taking out all those guys. But, by the end of it, I was like, what was the point of this? And it feels incomplete. I mean, there really isn't a climax because Robert is just that overpowered, and, so the villains are just taken out. But anyway, that's it. That's the Equalizer 3. I'm giving it a rental. And it was almost higher than that, but not quite. But anyway, yeah, that's it. We're done.